This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Garth Over.
Back in the saddle again in the basement together. We haven't done this in a long time.
Yep, and tonight we are joined by our very special guest. We have Ryan from, I'm going to say VISIR.
VISIR.
VISIR, okay.
VISIR, yeah.
Yeah, I should have realized that by looking at it, but I'm like, VISIR, that's definitely what it is.
Totally, that tracks.
Somebody called it VISIR the other day, and I was like, that's.
Oh, we lost you.
You muted yourself, Ryan.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. So you said somebody called it VISIR the other day. Was about as far as we got. And the joys of technology will get rolling again here as soon as he's able to hear us. And
can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you get us? Oh, the joys of computers and technology.
So fun.
Well, while we wait for him to pop up, I'm sure he'll be able to tell us when he can hear us again. Garth, did you do anything neat this week?
Matter of fact, I don't know if it was this week. I don't know if I talked about it last week, but I did find my gun of the month for June and July. So pretty stoked about that.
Yep. Can you hear us?
I can't hear y'all.
Well, let me see if I can fix this, and we'll keep going. Garth, you keep talking about your gun of the month.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty excited because after we went to GunCon, they had the Canics there, and I'd really never thought of buying one before, but me and my Boogaloo shirts, if you will, I certainly do enjoy a nice Hawaiian shirt, and man, the Canic came out with the Miami Day and Miami Night versions of their 9mm pistol, and you got to shoot one of the Miami Day ones, and I just got to shoot one of the regular Canics, but I was thoroughly impressed with the function and the trigger of that pistol in particularly. And so, I had to do some digging around, and Gunbroker just took over for me. And instead of buying one day or night, I bought a pair of them. And so now I have a set of the Miami Day, Miami Night, which is kind of cool because they only made 3,050 to go off of the Miami zip code of 305. So
we can hear you just fine.
Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
We can.
I can't hear a single thing. It's like if y'all can hear me, I can't hear anything coming out of my speakers.
Here while we work on this, I'm gonna send Ryan an email and have him just come back into the studio.
And I've tried switching it back and forth between a headset and the computer speakers. I don't know what happened.
It's not
the
one
screen
thing,
popped up a little thing that said your mic has been lost communication with the show or whatever a second ago. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh. All right. Well, while we're working on that to come back through, because he'll be logging back in just a second. But here we go. Foamy's King says the Canic pistols are a copy of the Walther P99 and PPQ line. and these are a Meta, I believe, is what the model is on them.
Correct.
And they are a rather impressive handgun.
I'm pretty stoked about it. I don't know if I'll be shooting it with for competition this coming Sunday. I have got a other gun of the month that I haven't shot yet, the Platypus. So I don't know if that's a smart decision to just start running competition with that gun. But I've been doing so poorly in the pistol shooting this year. I don't think it really matters if I run the Platypus or the Canic or my Glock or my Sig. It's going to be bad either way. So it happens. It's what it is.
Yep, and I will be, still running, whatever I pull out of the safe.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. And it looks like we have Ryan back here as soon as he connects in. And we'll give it a moment because, of course, computer issues have never been a problem for any podcast ever.
No.
And with that happening, we're glad to have everyone back and everyone listening. I haven't done very much neat things. I went out and did a little shooting in the last week, and again went out and just worked on some fundamentals and did some other shooting with some buddies, and got to shoot that. Again, not the new Mat 9, but my old Motgo 9. And Ryan, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Yes.
Dude, what is going on?
Have you tried unmuting?
Have you tried turning it off and turning back on again?
Well, I know that this is riveting for all of our listeners that will be joining us on the audio podcast.
Fascinating.
But as we go through here...
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Yep, we sure can. Can you still hear us?
We might have to jump out and come back into this, Nick.
Well, I think we can do it. We were doing good here just a minute ago. And, of course, as soon as we went live, everything went to hell in a handbasket. But we will see if we can't fix that. And, Garth, will you... hey, well...
Words.
Words are hard. I'm going to go run and grab a business card quick. And if you would want to keep talking about your Canics, maybe.
Sure.
Maybe even show one off.
Oh, man, I can do that for sure. Oh, he's back.
All right. Can everyone hear everyone now?
Ryan, you are muted. Once you unmute, we'll be able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sure can. All right, we're in business.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I just told you a minute ago, when you're trying to get on the computer on a time schedule, it just goes wrong.
Yep. And, of course, everything works great until we hit go live.
Oh, dude, we hit go live, and it was like y'all just went complete blank.
Well, the important thing is you're here now. And when we were talking, we were talking about, Garth was talking about the cool things that the Canic that he picked up at GunCon. And I, this week, had a couple more guys get to shoot my Montgo 9 from Matador Arms. And that's just like, that gun is just stupid fun.
That's the best way to describe it.
Like it's just a blast to shoot. It might be the most fun gun I have.
Yeah.
And of course, mine's a little more tricked out than some.
Well, the Franklin Armory trigger really helps in that. But the other thing I'm really excited about from GunCon, and we'll talk more about it, is the Stuff and Things paintball trigger.
Yeah, that was a blast as well. And again, we'll be talking to them later. But tonight, our first guest from GunCon has a couple things that I am very excited about, and that is from VISIR Inc. Not VISIR, not VISIR.
Yeah.
Which VISIR also makes sense in my head.
That's what I was saying a minute ago. Somebody called it VISIR the other day, and I was like, man, it doesn't sound too bad to put a dash in between the IR,
Yeah, because it's visible IR. Like, oh, I get it.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
But no, so VISIR. Well, Ryan, first, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and the company? Because I could sit here and be like, VISIR is a provider of night vision and thermal optics.
Right. So I guess a little bit about me. I do have a background in the military. I did 5 years in the Marine Corps infantry. Was a dog handler, military police. So I kind of did a lot here and there with training wise. We did. I was a boat raider there for a while, so we got to do the raider training and all that kind of cool stuff. It's kind of cool to look back on, but it definitely ain't fun doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you go back on, man, I used to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of cool stuff, but man, it sucks sometimes. Got out of there. I went to UPS, drove the box cars for about three years. Then I moved up to the 18-wheelers for about another 3-4 years. And I kind of just got tired.
What can Brown do for you?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of got tired of the schedule, and I started looking for jobs in sales. So I bounced around between a few different sales jobs. Did a lot of door to door, so doing roofing, solar, alarms, that kind of stuff. And then I was at a roofing company, and they were kind of mistreating a little bit. So I was like, man, I wonder what other kind of sales jobs are out here. What can I do? And I've always been into hunting and fishing and outdoors. Ended up seeing an ad to come work for a thermal optic company, and I was like, I don't even know what VISIR is, but I'll come work there and come play with thermals and go hunting and do that kind of stuff. And it's led me to GunCon, led me to y'all, and all kinds of cool people in the industry that you don't really get to meet and hang out with and just have fun with and go shoot guns or go hunting with.
Yep, and that is fun. Again, I honestly can't say enough good things about that GunCon event, because it's smaller than like NRA annual meeting or SHOT Show or something like that. But it was nice because like we could sit down and have a beer and build a relationship.
Yeah. No, I like that. I definitely liked the even the show itself was tiny, with the amount of exhibitors, so it's not hundreds of tables that people just kind of like walk by and they get to pick and choose. It seemed like everybody was like in a line and like waiting to go to like each table and actually see what y'all are doing. But then the nighttime events that, like the pizza party and just kind of what you're talking about, drinking and having some cigars out there outside of Brownell's, there wasn't a ton of people out there. So you got to really meet and, hang out with a lot of cool guys.
Yeah, things I never thought I would be doing is having a party in the Brownell's parking lot.
Not in a million years. No.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought that either.
Oh, all right. I guess we're doing this.
Yeah. Before we got into this, it was just a website I ordered from, and now to actually have been there and see the people that run it and just the hospitality everyone had there, it's been overwhelming and fantastic.
Yep. So we talked a little bit about you. Now, what about VISIR?
So VISIR is one of the U.S. distributors for infrared. And and they basically we have night vision and some handheld thermals, and then we have our own brand RICs that we just launched, those 2 new thermals and the digital daytime night vision scope. Those 2 new thermals that we have, they're the only optical zoom thermal on the market in the world right now. There's nothing else like it. Y'all remember looking through those?
Yes, I do. They were like that was very interesting because well, I know I probably mentioned it at one point saying like, oh, well, I've played with thermal quite a bit, but when I was actually like doing a lot of the thermal stuff I was doing with Border Patrol last year, having something that would do an optical zoom is really insane. And those were like $4 million cameras that had, well, they had three or four zoom settings on it where they drop, rotate a lens down, think like the eye doctor. Is it better in 1 or 2? And they'd rotate it around. It worked.
Probably changes the objective lens in there for the end of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like that'd be the easiest kind of way to think about how, like they didn't let me look inside the super expensive ball, but from the noises it made and how the shift was, that's the only way I could describe it. But seeing that in a civilian market device was unreal to me.
Yeah.
No, very cool.
Yep. And I'm just trying to find them on your website now.
They're not on the website right now. They're still brand new. They're not even on our website yet.
That would be why I can't find them.
Yeah, you can't find them yet. I have a couple right here. Do you want me to take it out and
oh, there we go. Yep. You can show everybody there. So one of the things when looking at that is, I think, when you talk about thermal imaging and night vision and things of that nature, a lot of people don't realize, because you said, this has an optical zoom for thermal.
Right.
Now, when we say that it has an optical zoom, that means it actually has lenses that change the magnification like it would on your standard, like any of your standard rifle scopes, like a hunting scope or binoculars or something like that.
Yeah, the easiest way to think about it is like a single focal plane rifle scope, where it brings the image and the reticle and everything all together in one.
Yep. So the thing that a lot of people probably won't realize, especially if like they've dipped their toe into the night vision world before or are familiar with it, because in night vision, you'd commonly hear about like digital versus analog. And there is no such thing as analog thermal. All the thermal is all a sensor that sends it to a screen.
Correct.
So having that optical zoom is amazing, because if anyone has ever looked through a pure digital zoom, like this is like the camcorder stuff from 1998. Where it made the pixels bigger.
Yeah. It looks like you put your face right up in a TV. Yeah.
Like that would be the way to describe it. So an optical zoom for a thermal is huge. And then what were some other things with that? Just because I can't pull up the spec sheet, but I wanted to say that those had like a 30 millimeter tube.
Yeah, they're 30 millimeter tubes. We got a 384 and a 640 sensor. The 384 is a 35 millimeter objective. The 640 is a 50 millimeter objective. And those are basically the two major differences, because if you pull them out, it's the objective lens is smaller. They both got a great optic zoom, plus they're 12 times digital zoom. Did you go around to the side with me of the Brownells building and like look at the deer out there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I zoomed it all the way in with the optical and the digital, and I could see the horns, the antlers on that deer, and that deer was probably 300 yards.
Yeah, and that's that's really like clarity on something like that at when you're looking at 300 yards in thermal is for, what I'm going to say civilian grade is, even with some of the military grade stuff I've ran, is really impressive.
Yeah. No, we had a guy, he stopped by our booth at GunCon. He seemed like a pretty serious thermal guy, because he said that he had just got off like a 32-hour coyote hunt, and they drove, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from wherever they're hunting and came straight to GunCon. Like, they hunted all night. He was a big pulsar guy. And he said he had the top of the line Thermion, the QDX 50 LRX. And I said, well, here, you got the 640 pulsar here. Look at my 384 version of mine. And he said the 384 was clearer than his 640 Thermion, even though it's a smaller sensor and about 4,000 less than the Thermion.
Yep. So, I mean, that's proof is in the pudding there. I know that looking through it, I thought it was awesome. Just looking through your sensor and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, I shouldn't say looking through the sensor, but looking through your optics.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, that might be the biggest point that you just said. 4,000 less.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't hurt.
Not at all. I know there's a lot of guys out there that would like to run a lot of thermals, and around here, a lot of guys do run Pulsar, but no one wants to spend that kind of cash. And to have a product you guys do at a price point you guys do is game changing.
Right. And Pulsar ain't bad. Pulsar doesn't have bad optics. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying they do, but man, just to have what you have in the package you guys got, and then at that price point is just it's a new ball game for a lot of guys.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's one of those where you say it's a new ball game, but this is where you get through the difference between economical versus cheap.
Yeah.
Right.
Or value, because it's a, like, these are super solid. Like, I was impressed looking through everything, including the night vision stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute. And looking through that stuff was impressive for me. And, I've had a fair bit of experience under night vision. And I was like, wow, this is really, really clear. And I was, truly impressed. And the economical value is there as well, which we'll get into in a minute. And, but no, there is one other thing that I would be remiss if we didn't talk about, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen for everyone to look at.
Which one is it?
Well, we're still talking about thermal.
Okay.
So this is available on your site, and the dot thermal fusion scope.
Yeah. Yep. The fast FAL-19. That thing's pretty cool.
Yep. So for anyone listening or not looking at this as I scroll through here, this, well, it looks kind of like an EOTech would be the way to...
That'd be the best way to put it, yeah.
Like a similar, just in shape only, because it has a window on top. But then it also has a thermal imaging sensor. So you may recall a company demoing something like this at SHOT Show. And they said, oh, this is experimental, but it won't be coming out.
Yeah.
And you guys have it on the market where you can run it as a standard red dot, a standalone thermal, and a target outline or just target highlight thermal, where you have options to run through. And you can also run it with a magnifier.
Yeah, and it's got its own 1x2 times digital zoom. So if you digital zoom 2 times and then you're running a 3 times magnifier, you basically have a 6 power red dot.
Yeah. And that is phenomenal. because that technology of the future that everyone was talking about, say 7 months ago, going, man, that'll be so cool when that's here in 3 years.
Yeah.
They can literally order it today off your website.
I have it right now. And I mean, that's a lot different than I think of the one that you're talking about that was at SHOT Show. I mean, this one that we have has got a recognition range of 450 meters.
Yes, because that was the thing I was going to mention. the one that company's name who started with hollow and ended and rhymes with sun, they had a sensor that was only good for 47 meters.
You hear it from all kinds of things. I've heard 75, I've heard 80, I've heard 69, but it's like everything that I hear, it's less than 100 yards is where that thing goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was just, I know that was the one spec sheet I saw for it. They're like, oh, we're using this sensor. And it was like the what you would use in a cell phone thermal imaging sensor.
Yeah.
Because I know you guys also sell those.
But I do have those, and I have some of those that are pretty cool too.
Yep. I know that we actually posted a picture to Instagram and Facebook, and you could see Garth like standing there and then his face on thermal. And that was very interesting to look at because it's, again, the clarity on that was very, very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different applications outside of just even hunting with these. Last night could have really used some of your equipment. I'm on the local volunteer fire department here. We had a search and rescue that lasted a little over 5 hours, and I don't know how many guys on the department kept going, "Hey, man, where's your thermal at? Where's your night optics?" And I said, I don't have any currently, but if you guys listen to the show tomorrow, I know a guy I can hook you up.
Yep. And that is, the other thing as well. Yes, we are the AR podcast. We generally look at everything through kind of the sphere of firearms. Right. One of our friends wanted to get one of these to look at grain bins.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to get one of the cell phone cameras to straight up check his grain bins and just see, check for hot spots. Yep, everything's good. And he goes, the farm can write it off.
Write it off. You might as well. I mean, they're $400, $650. I mean, they ain't too expensive. Just download an app and plug it in, and it works.
Yep, and I know that the world is moving steadily towards thermal faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has changed over the past few years. That's for sure.
Well, from when I first played with thermal to now, and even the very first thermal optic I played with, was obviously courtesy of the United States government. And it was about 4 pounds, 18 inches long, and ran on 7 AA batteries.
Well, like you said, it used to be for the richest of the rich, and now it's not cheap. It's quality that's affordable.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it still costs more than my first car.
Fair,
but, not everyone buys an $800 ranch pickup for their first vehicle. But that's just one of those where, I have pistols that cost more than my first car. So,
yeah.
But the one of the other things that I was the most impressed with is the PG-25, which I actually have in my hand right now.
Let me see it.
Yep. So in my hand right now is a helmet-mounted night vision binocular, or what can be helmet-mounted. And I know there's a couple other options. You can mount it, behind weapon sights or other things like that.
It's designed as a helmet mount right now, and you can use it for what you're talking about. But yeah, it's designed for a helmet mount right now.
Oh no, that's 100% what I'm using it for. but is the helmet mount. But this is the smallest usable analog night vision I have ever seen. And when I say that, I mean, so I actually had to do math on this one because everyone knows that I will do math. And part of it is because I speak American for measurements. So I was not aware of how much 245 grams was.
It's about, it's like 8 ounces because I did the math too.
Yep, it is 8 ounces. So that is the same weight as a empty Keltec P3AT, which is the lightest 380 on the market. But also, that is about half the weight of a standard PVS 14. And if anyone has ever walked around with weight hanging off their head in front of them, the lighter that is, the better.
Have you hooked yours up and worn it on the helmet and messed around with it yet?
Not yet. I got it in today, so I got it in today, and we did some darkroom stuff with it. And I haven't started. I haven't put it on my helmet yet to start running around with it.
They'll be pretty awesome because I mean, just like how it feels in your hand and how light it is in your hand.
Yeah,
putting it on your helmet, you barely even notice it, and it's a good secondary optic for those guys that want to run dual night vision and a thermal helmet mount. So you can be able to flip between both of them without having your helmet mount too bulky.
Yep, and I know that in looking through it, like the good thing about running analog versus digital, so I have taught a lot of people how to drive under night vision, and like there were times where even with issued PVS 14s that weren't the clearest because they may have been beat up a little bit. I would just run with the Mark 1 eyeball, and because I could pick out enough detail that I'd be like, oh no, you wear your nods, and
yeah, I'm gonna sit out there in 29 Palms in the desert. The moon was bright enough most of the time that you could see the ground and the sand and the rocks way better than you could see it through your PVS 14s. And so a lot of times we'd have it like kind of tilted off to the side, so I could just use we kind of look through it maybe just so we could see the lasers or something. But if we were firing, but yeah, if we were running through the desert, jumping over hills.
Yeah, and I used it a lot to look for markers, like if we had IR chem lights out for trail and stuff like that, where it's you'd have to, because your eye can't pick that up. Mm-hmm. But then you inevitably had the people who would turn their IR illuminator on inside the cab of a vehicle and just completely splash everything. Why can't I see anything? Because they're looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
But no, I was very, very impressed with that, so much so that I ordered some. And so we have one you'll be hearing more about later as I continue to play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be putting it through its paces and giving everyone my real feedback, but I can say the unit I have is every bit as clear as my new issued PVS 14. And I would say that the reason it says Gen 2 Plus is probably only because of ITAR. Like I see a smile there that says we may be onto something. But that was a unit that really impressed me. Now, how long has that been around?
These are brand new. I think these came out or were released around SHOT Show this year. So these are still brand new. But I like you're talking about, it's like the clearest NVG that you can look through, in my opinion, without having to bust out like quad tubes or something.
Yeah, like I don't have, the panoramic night vision money
Yeah.
because those cost more than the car I have now.
Well, you saw our night vision, nods, right? The
Yep.
helmet mounted binos.
Yep.
We had a lot of people talking about they would prefer those over some 15 to 20,000 quad tubes that they've seen, the panoramic ones.
Yep.
Those ones were clearer than those other kind.
Well, I was gonna actually mention you had a set of dual tubes there that had one. It had a mystery tool to help us later, if you will. And any parent of a certain age will get that Mickey Mouse Club reference. But they were a hybrid binocular, I think would be the way to put it up, or to say that.
Yeah.
Because they actually had the capability to do thermal overlaid with the night vision.
The fusion binos, yes.
Yeah. Now that really is where the future is going to go, in my opinion.
I mean, those things are super cool. Those things. I mean, how do you describe it without just? Because my thing is that GunCon is I can just say, here, look through it, and it's 10 times easier.
Yeah. So for people that that might not understand what we're talking about, if you've ever played any of the video games or seen footage or looked at where you have that kind of green glow, that you would get from night vision, where you have that green coming through from the green phosphorus.
Right.
Granted, you have that where everything has that tinge, but then it also, I know that when I was looking through it, we mainly had it set up to do thermal outlining.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can do it on multiple different settings to run the thermal overlay on them.
Yeah, well, this is just like what I played with the most, because it worked really, really good for my ADD. Because it was like you'd turn and look at someone, and it would have more features, and it would give better depth to the night vision image, because it would actually start to outline all of the hot spots, and you could pull it out, so it almost became a 3D image when you were looking at it. Like, not quite those old, hold it to your nose and pull it apart and find the dolphin magic eye things, but you'd get way more depth for the image by looking through that.
It's like an image floating inside the night vision, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so your brain's like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah, it kind of does this, hey. So now that is a full-on setup where it has the thermal mounted kind of in the third eye place, and there everything's there. One thing we should talk about is for the PG-25, this has a little different mounting system than a lot of guys are probably used to seeing.
The dovetail?
Yes. So I say that as somebody who came from the military world and was used to PVS-14 and a J-arm.
Yeah. I mean, the dovetail is getting super, super common nowadays.
Yep.
And you can run bridges and, mount both optics, on the same.
Well, and they're even making conversions for the old J-arm style to go to a dovetail, which was, when I was looking at everything, I was like, oh, hey, that works great. Yeah. And, it's like the other thing about it is, at this price point, you could very easily pick up two and have one to loan to a buddy or run a set of duals.
Right.
Like, that would just make you the coolest kid on the block. But when you get into some of these, what are some other products that you think guys should be aware of that you have?
That I have? I mean, we pretty much hit the majority of my top top producing optics because we got the 2 thermal scopes. The digital daytime night vision. Did y'all look through that one? We haven't talked
Yeah.
about that yet.
No, we have not.
Nope, sure haven't.
And
That's this one here, the Tourer, the T20. I don't know. Is my screen reversed or does it look normal on your screen?
No, it looks good.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
it's I mean, it shows up. We can read it.
Okay, perfect. That's the T20. That's just the digital, daytime night vision. That's for somebody, who wants to, be able to shoot and go hunting or do something at nighttime, but just, can't afford that thermal scope. And so this is the next best option for them.
It's kind of the entry level night hunting devices.
Yes. But you can also click a button and it's a daytime optic. So you're shooting deer 1 minute, then all of a sudden it gets dark and pigs come to the feeder or wherever. You click a button, turn on your illuminator. It comes with an illuminator, and now you can shoot pigs at nighttime.
Yes, and that is awesome to have that capability because, again, options are always good. At least in my opinion.
I like it. I like thermals. I'm trying to look at some of the other stuff that I have around here, but I mean, it's the thermal scopes, the digital night vision. I do have some handheld thermals like thermal rangefinders. Then we have the 3 different night visions: the PG-25, the Jerry 31s, and those Jerry FB, the Fusion binos. And then the cell phone attachment. The cell phone attachment is one of the best things. Comes in a little bitty pouch. It doesn't run on any battery. You don't need to charge it. You can just throw it in your hunting bag and you shoot a deer, shoot a pig. It runs off in the woods. Now you need to find it. You can literally just hook it up to your phone and just start scanning with your thermal.
Yep. And now the other part about that is those will work with any phone, right?
So there's 2 different models, and you just got to buy each one for iPhone or Android.
Yep. As you go through, because I mean, you can see by the prices on these, from $279 to $419.
Yeah.
And
the T2 Pro and the T3 are probably the most common. But yeah, that T2 Pro right there, that one is probably the most common, and it's not even $419. It's $399 right now.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's another $20 off. And then
Even
see where
better.
It says you can get one for Android or iPhone, and the difference is the plug. So when it plugs into your phone, you have a Lightning port or Android plug. But yeah, it'll detect deer at basically 1,600 yards.
And then does that have the ability to zoom as well, or is that just the digital zoom?
It'll be the digital zoom. It'll be like zooming in on your phone screen. You just like a pinch type zoom, and it'll go up to a 15 times zoom.
Okay, yep. And then I see that it says, detection at that's almost a mile. If anyone doesn't realize that, 1579 is pretty much touching on a mile.
Well, were you out there when we were looking at those trucks and cars driving way down?
Yes, on the interstate.
Yeah. I mean, we're looking at those on the interstate.
No, we were, and it was like, honestly, it sounds, trite to say it like this, where I was like, you really got to look through these things to believe it.
Yeah.
Which,
at one of the other shows that I had an exhibitor. They bought one from me, and then they went back to the hotel or their house that they were staying at. They were playing with it at night with other vendors and other people from their booth. Then all of a sudden, next morning before the show starts, about 30 minutes before the show starts, I sell 2 more to 2 more vendors because they're like, "Oh yeah, you sold one to what's his name? We messed with that thing last night. They're awesome. I heard you only have a few left. Give me one." And that was like almost every morning until I sold out. It was more people that kept coming that actually mess with them.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But it's also like I really can't speak to it enough. You have to try it out and see what it is that they look at to really and truly appreciate just actually how good these things actually are.
Yeah.
Because like we can talk about it all day, but until you use your eye and look at them to see, you might not really believe us because you could think that we're just blowing sunshine over here.
Right.
But
It's the same thing with like the optic zoom feature on the scopes, which I'm working on. I'm actually going hunting all weekend this weekend, with the main goal of just getting more footage through the scope. I'm getting a phone scope because the camera and the scope can't pick up the optical zoom. Only you're seeing
okay,
that because it's not recording the screen. You know what I mean? Because it's
yep,
behind where that screen, where that magnifying is happening. So if you look through it, it's magnified and zoomed in, but when you're recording, it's like you weren't even recording. It probably, what I'm thinking is, could make you make some longer shots without zooming in, and then you post the video on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and then it makes you look like you made a more difficult shot than what you really did.
it's one of those, like, it adds to the cool factor by being like, not only am I amazing, but
Yeah.
look at how I didn't have to zoom at this.
Yeah, look at how I didn't have to zoom when I shot this coyote at 300 yards.
Yep, because that is awesome, and it's almost as awesome as VZ grips. Now, the unique features of VZAR grips is they're machined from a solid block of G10, and G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, with color options available as well. 1911 grips, Beretta grips, extreme customizability, standard and slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. This coupon code is good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips, and that code is AR-15 podcast. All right. That was our shameless plug for one of our sponsors as we roll into that. See, that's a segue. But no, have you seen a lot more moving into that to that kind of night hunting space? I know you've mentioned like hogs several times, and I believe you're based out of Texas.
I am in Texas, so we have hogs.
Yes, and
There's one right there.
yep, and you know, hog hunting is a blast. I've done it once, and I went to a paid place that was a racket, and will not do that again. But
Where at?
it was about 60 miles from Austin.
Okay, so it's in Texas. Yeah, we have. Well, a lot of people don't know that Texas is 98% private property.
Yeah,
There's only 2% public land. And so a lot of people that are from out of state, that have millions of acres that they can go hunt on with, BLM or some kind of managed land. You basically, if you're going to go hunt down here, you need to know somebody, or you need to go to an outfitter. And it can be a pretty good challenge to find a decent. There's a lot of them out there, but it's the same thing. Like, you look at 10 car mechanics, one of them might be pretty terrible. You know what I mean?
yep.
And
Well, and
thousands in Texas of nothing but hunting outfitters.
we have the same thing here in South Dakota.
We do,
because we're about the same ratio,
Okay.
and but or well, close to it. And then our thing is, our big trick is pheasants.
Pheasant hunting. Yeah. See, I want to go pheasant hunting up there. Y'all want to come down here and hunt hogs? That's what I want to do.
Oh, we can make that happen.
that sounds like we got to make that happen.
That's easy for us to accomplish.
Let me just get my closet here. I'll grab my shotgun real quick.
Yeah, Yeah, that's easy. That's too easy. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
And we could even film shooting prairie dogs at night.
Mm.
You can do that, and y'all can come down here and shoot pigs.
We will have to talk more and make this happen. But so as I was saying before, we squirreled a little bit there. Are you seeing a lot more guys get into the night vision or thermal space?
Do I see them picking a side more?
No, well, I'm saying, are there more consumers buying these products than there were before?
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah. And that's why you have so many new thermal companies that have popped up over the past, 5 to 10 years.
Yep, I was gonna say, because I know up here in our area, 4 years ago, if somebody had a thermal optic, it was, oh man, you dropped a bunch of money on that.
Yeah, you spent 10 grand on it.
It's almost like 10 to 15 years ago when it's, oh, you got a silencer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
15 years ago is like, oh man, he's got a silencer. He's out there. And now it's, oh, you haven't got a can yet.
Oh, which silencer are you going to buy next?
Yeah, which one are you going to buy next? Well, so was there some laws recently that changed in South Dakota or anything regarding thermals or night hunting?
So they did change it to allow it more. They used to have, well, they call them spotlighting laws.
Mm.
And it was, if you were the landowner, you could use shot shell or anything up to, a 22, diameter bullet, and to go, to shoot at night. And they opened it up to allow night vision and thermal for coyotes. And we can't shoot deer at night
yet.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can shoot deer at night. I mean, legally, I don't think you're supposed to shoot deer at night.
Legally. But
you're in a state
no
with shooting hours.
Yeah. Oh, and this is more for predator and varmint control.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't, it just gets worse. And coyotes. You're never going to stop the coyote population. Just same way you're never stopping the pig population.
Yep.
The more you kill, the more they reproduce.
Yep, but it is a lot of fun to try.
Yeah. It's always good. I mean, you got to do something. You got to try. You got to try to knock it down at least.
Yep. Actually, for Easter this year, we ate a ham off of the wild hog that I shot.
How was that?
It's actually really good.
Really good?
Yep. But, I mean, it was pretty much grain-fed, I think, so.
Well, you did say something about it being a little ratchet or whatever that you had done there.
It was, I mean, I'm not going to say that I could hear them, open the trailer to let the hogs out to run at us. But I heard some gates open and, livestock on trailer noises.
Yeah, pig, yeah.
And then suddenly there was hogs.
I mean, some people, because a lot of the guys that are paying to hunt hogs are from out of state.
Yeah.
Because it's the talk of the town. Like I was saying a minute ago, we want to go up north to shoot pheasant, but everybody from Minnesota and North Dakota and they want to come down here and shoot pigs because they ain't got any. So you never know what kind of outfitter you're going to get, and that might be true. They might have had some on a trailer and let them go.
Yeah, I laughed very hard at the whole setup, going I know what just happened. I will not mention their name, but they 100% got the trapped feral hogs and then put them into a high fence game ranch and just turned them loose. And they're like, "Oh, you boys are at your guaranteed stage and haven't got hogs yet. All right, sit here and they'll run right in front of you. We guarantee it."
Yeah. That's how it is, especially if you're coming from out of state and you flew down or you drove several hours and you don't get anything. They're going to do something.
Yep. But
Fish or barrel.
it is. And, it was an experience, and I did it, and I laughed the whole time. But so, Brian, where can people find more about Rix and VISIR?
You got VISIRinc.com and Rix-NV.com. But like I was saying, a lot of our optics, the PG-25, the Jerry 31s, the FBs, our 2 thermal scopes, the day night vision scope, that stuff's all brand new right now. So I mean, we're still working, throwing it up on the website, but you'll be seeing it around here real soon.
Yep, and I know that we didn't play with these much, but you guys are showing your thermal binoculars and whatnot.
Oh yeah, my Rix A3, the thermal binoculars.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a set. I don't think I have a set here at my house with me, but yeah, those things are real cool. With the cool thing about that is it's like a 2.7-inch screen, so it's almost a 3-inch screen. So when you look at it, you're just looking at one screen. So it's not 2 dual thermal screens trying to link up, and then it gives yourself a headache. Yeah, there it is.
Yep. So it's like a wide screen that your eyes can focus on instead of trying to look through 2.
Yeah.
It creates less problems.
Or if 2 of you are looking, you can kind of hold them in between you and the other person and kind of, hey, do you see that? You see that right there? And y'all can kind of look at it together as well if you needed to.
Yep. If you need to. If not, you can be like, no, This is mine.
They look a lot heavier than what they actually are, but those things, they're actually pretty light.
Now, do these do those like connect to a cell phone as well, like some of the others in the?
Yeah, all of my stuff except those, except like the night vision. Those everything connects. All my scopes, thermals, they all connect to my app.
All right, and obviously when you buy it, you can get the app easily enough. I'm sure it's on both
you can download it right now. You don't even need to have an optic. You can just have it on your phone for when you get one.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep. So Ryan, is there anything else that where can people find you and the company and everything like that?
You can look us up. We have a Facebook, Instagram. I think we got a Twitter now. We're thinking about creating a YouTube channel, but I know Instagram is RixNV on YouTube or on Instagram, and I think it's the same on Facebook. It might just be RixNV on Facebook. I know we had to change a couple things because I think Rix was already taken on Instagram.
Yeah, that is always the hard part about starting a company.
Yeah,
domain names. Yeah.
Or even like taking over a podcast where all of a sudden you have to add like 2.0.
2.0, yeah.
Yeah.
Because somebody lost the password to the email that everything is tied to.
The 2.0.
Yeah, so this is the 2.0 version. Or have to come up with a creative, how do I make this tie together with my name?
I'm just glad it's not 3.0 or 4.0 because I've lost the password a few times.
So they can find you guys at Rix, you said, on Instagram.
Yeah, RixNV on Instagram. And then I think it's just RixNV on Facebook. Those are our two main socials right now. And I know that we're trying to build a Twitter up. I'm not exactly sure of the handle on that.
Yep.
That's up real quick.
That's okay. That's a marketing question, not a sales question.
Yeah, I'm not the social media guy.
Hey, that's fine. Neither are we.
No.
Yeah, I'll just take them. I'll just take them hunting. I'll get you videos and I'll get you some photos and I'll email it to you.
That is great. I like it. And you know, before we finish talking about that, we've been talking a lot about other things here, but what we should talk about is national security experts are warning that our aging power grid is more vulnerable than ever. January marked the third time a power station in North Carolina was damaged by gunfire, and authorities are saying that attack raises a new level of threat. Authorities are checking our grid for vulnerabilities. They've identified 9 key substations, and if these substations are attacked, power could be knocked out from coast to coast for up to 18 months. Imagine a blackout lasting not days, but weeks or months. Your life would be frozen in time at that moment. When the power fails, lights all over the country would go out, throwing people into total darkness, which is why it is so important to own the night. That's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. With the new Patriot Power Generator 2000X, you get a solar generator that doesn't install into your house because it's portable. You can take it with you and even use it inside. But it is powerful enough to charge all of your devices, phones, medical devices, even your fridge. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com. That's the number 4patriots.com and use code FRN to get 10% off your first purchase of anything in the store, including the Patriot Power Generator. You get all of this plus their famous guarantee and free shipping on orders over $97. So go to 4patriots.com and use code FRN to get 10% off. That's the number 4patriots.com and use code FRN and get yours today. So, is there anywhere that they can find you? Or are you posting hunting videos?
Here and there. My Instagram is I am Ryan Rogers. That's my Instagram. So I got a lot of hunting stuff on there. I'll post whatever I shoot with thermals.
Yep. Well, let's be honest. Thermals are just cool, and when you're shooting with them, it's hey, look at what I can do.
It's all about the people that have had thermals. It's a buy once, cry once is the saying. A lot of people jumped into it and they bought, something for 1,200, 1,800, even 2,000. They use it a handful of times and they kind of get tired of it because they run into a scenario where it doesn't perform. They mistake a cow for a hog, and
that's an expensive mistake.
Yeah, now you just got a bunch of beef. But a
tasty one.
But then as they get into it, they start realizing that there's kind of more to it than just thermal. There's a reason why a lot of thermals are 2,000 and why a lot of them are 5,000 and 6,000. And it's not just for the name. Majority of the time, it's whenever you look through it, you can tell that this one's $2,000 and you can tell that this one is $5,000 just by looking at the clarity and what it actually does for you.
Right on. And I can say that your products were incredibly clear and an amazing value.
Yep. So I'm, that's something that I'm pretty proud of. It's probably the number one thing that people look through, especially once, like I was saying, once they get into that thermal game, they don't really think about the clarity of thermal for their first thermal majority of the time.
Yeah.
Or if they look at it at a gun store, at a hunting store, they're looking at something, 30 yards away, 10 yards away, and they're like, oh man, this looks really good. Then you take it out there in the field and you see something at 100 yards and you're like, man, what is that white dot there?
That goes back to that 48 meter sensor.
Yeah. And you're like, man, what is that dot back there? Man, I wish I could tell exactly what that was. And, before you know it, you're shooting a deer and you think it's a coyote or vice versa.
Exactly. So that is awesome. And everyone, please go check these guys out. I honestly cannot say enough good things about them. And you'll be hearing more to come as I continue testing and trying mine out.
Yeah.
And
looking forward to that.
Yep. We'll be going through there. So with that, we'll sign off here in a little bit. Garth, is there anything you want to add?
No, man, we're solid. Thanks for coming on, Ryan, and telling us about your products, and we really appreciate it.
Yep. Any final words? Any final words for everybody?
I appreciate you having me on the show. I don't have any final words. I mean, the best way to describe these optics I have is you got to see it for yourself.
Yep. Seeing is believing.
100%.
All right. And you got anything, Garth? All right. You folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed. Do you want to support the show? Subscribe and interact on social media. AR-15 Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. AR-15 Podcast on Facebook. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com if you just want to drop us a line. Find us online at firearmsradio.net. Click through our sponsors and support the people who support our show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, Predator Armor, TacPack, and Patriot Patch Company.